There you go. I think we're all set for another story. I'm having fun today, by the way. It's my day off, and I've just been about every hour and a half. I'm thinking up and knocking out another uh, video for you for my YouTube site. Again, go there, YouTube on Doc South Show on YouTube, and I have quite a few videos. I'm told I have 3,000 of them. I don't know if that's, maybe it is, but there's more than enough for you to look at. That's for sure. The amount doesn't really matter that much, but I'm enjoying something fierce doing them for you. Got one now. Going to go back to my days when I lived down in North Carolina, city of Wilson. Was on the rescue squad there, and one thing Wilson had that was really great fun was it it had its own dirt track stock car stadium. Yes. Well, it wasn't quite a stadium, but it was a dirt track, and there were viewing stands and all. So I guess in a way it was sort of an outdoor stadium. And I think from sometime in like March, I might be wrong on the month, but sometime when spring came, and going till sometime in mid fall, they would have on Saturday, I think it was Saturday nights, they would have stock car races. Stock car races, yes. And I mean dirt track stock car racing on I think it was a 1 mile track. Pretty sure it was 1 mile. And it was, if I recall right, again, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty certain I'm right. It was flat track dirt racing. So in other words, they didn't race on macadam or anything. It was dirt, and that takes a special kind of driver because you're going around the turns. The rear end of your vehicle, of your racer, kind of goes out as you're going around. You're pretty much in this controlled skid, and then you go into a straightaway. You peel out some more, and there's another curve, and it's controlled skid the whole time. Um, Races might go, oh, I forget now, but I'm guessing anywhere from the track was, I think, a little over a mile. I think it was a 1 mile dirt track. And I think, boy, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think it was a 1 mile dirt track and it went, I think you went something like 25 laps for a heat. And then there might be, towards the end, there might be a race where they go 50, the final one. What they would do is they'd race maybe 10 cars. The top three in that particular race can go into the grand finale. And they would eventually, by the time the grand finale came along, you had maybe 20, 25 cars ready to go. And they would start out slow. They would go slow around the track, and there'd be a flagman who was a member of the rescue squad, oddly enough. And when he thought everything was right, he'd let down with the green flag. He'd fly it down, with wave it, and that they'd peel out, and they'd all hell would break loose. Usually, someone didn't make it into the very first turn. They'd spin out and get creamed by two other cars, and flipped over, and they'd have to stop the race and get that guy off the track, or pull him back onto the track. I don't know if they I think once they went over, I think that was it. They had to get off the track, but then again, maybe they pulled him back on. I'm not sure. I don't quite remember that rule. But oh, it was impressive and loud. You could hear it. God, you could probably hear that racing in all the way out in Raleigh, which was pretty far away. And it was such fun. And we had at the track, the rescue squad had a platform we could in the middle of the track that we could stand on and watch the races. That way we could see everything. And if there was a wreck, well, we'd jump down and take the steps down the off the viewing stand into the ambulances and out we'd go to take care of the possible injured driver. Generally, the drivers were not hurt very badly. Generally, there were times, I guess, where I never saw it, but they did tell me that on occasion a driver would get killed. But that was a very, very, unusual circumstance. Generally, the races were the vehicles were very, very well protected with roll bars and roll cages and all that. I think the deaths may have happened in the early days of the racing there when I don't think they even used roll bars. I think they just got out there and raced. From what I understand from hearing from the old timers, it was just blood and guts, tooth and nail. It's pretty interesting stuff. And they had good hot dogs. Yeah. Chili dogs. Oh. And fries. Oh, delicious fries. And I seem to remember one very well endowed, beautiful girl serving them, if I recall right. But but I know one night we're watching a race, and wouldn't you know it, in the final turn, heading for the finish line, some guy really gets his car creamed. Oh my God. I think he was in the lead. Somehow he lost it in the skid, flipped over, bunch of cars hit him. His car goes flying in the air, lands on its wheels, gets hit some more. It was, yeah. Well, naturally we were running. He hadn't even stopped flipping, but when we were already, in the rescue vehicle to go get him. And we get there, and usually the drivers get out real quick, so we're kind of a little bit concerned. People are waving. The drivers are waving at us to come on, hurry, hurry, and they're pointing into the car. And we get there, and the guy's trapped in the car. Now that's not a good spot to be, because along with his car being flipped over, and him, the car is filled. The gas tanks are filled with this extremely. This stuff makes like dynamite look like like a little tiny 4th of July firecracker or a cap pistol. I mean, this is murderous fuel, and it costs a lot of money, but it also you look at it funny and it blows up. That's how these cars race so well. Meanwhile, this guy's in the doggone in the center of the car with his hand pinned between the roll bar and the roof, and the car's upside down. I was the smallest guy, so they send me in to go get him and to see what's up. And I get in there and I say, "How you doing?" His name's Bob, let's say. "Bob, what you up to?" He says, "Oh my God," he says, "Doc, I'm stuck. My hand's caught between the roll bar and the roof. I can't pull it out." He said, "Man, I want to get out of here. You smell that fuel." I said, "Oh my God, you're right." I hollered to the guys. I said, shouting, if you would. "What we got to do, we got to get him out of here. We're leaking fuel, and he's pinned between the roll bar and the roof. What you got to do is lift it." Looks to me like everybody get on the right and start lifting. Meanwhile, guys are lifting. And every time they lift up, the guy's hand gets stuck. When they come back down, the doggone hand gets hit again, between the roll bar and the roof. And the guy's really saying, "Man, this hurts something awful." And, well, eventually I said, "Listen, when you push up on the car, leave it, and I've got to carefully pull his hand out. It's fractured. You hear?" "Okay." He said, "Yes, sir." And Shelton was actually outranked me. He says, "Yes, okay." And I said, "So get it up, and then I'll pull it out carefully, and then we got to get him out of here. Okay?" He said, "Yeah, I got you. Get him, lift the car now," and they lift. I pull him out. "Okay, you can drop it now. He's clear." And I said, "Now let's send me a splint." And we get a splint in there. I get the splint put on his hand, and maybe one more splint. And the guy said, "Come on, I want to get out of here." And I said, "Well, there you go. You're all set. You can pull him out now. They're going to pull you by the legs." He says, okay. And they pull him out by his legs. And he goes into the ambulance. I crawl out easy enough. I wasn't pinned. And I certainly didn't have my hand crushed by the. It was a minor fracture. It was going to be okay, but it's like you feel the bones just between your wrist and your elbow. It was one of them, and in fact, oddly enough, the next week he was in the race. Yeah, just with a splint. He had to drive with one hand and his knee. Shift with one hand, drive with the knee, and now and then use his good hand to steer. That's pretty much how it worked. These guys love their racing, and sometimes I think the worse the shape the car was in, the better they liked it. In any case, so I get out and I'm walking around, and the guy's wife comes over, and she's all crying, and he'll be okay. I think, let's say her name was Mary. He'll be okay. He's got looks like he's got a small fracture. They're going to take him down to the hospital. You going to ride in the ambulance with him? She says, yes. She hops in, she climbs in, and off they go. Crowd's thunderous applause for the guy. And that was that. So, I don't know, the races continued. The races were over. It was all the talk of the day. Gee, that guy got into that car and helped him out. Oh, just weren't that something, and all that, that kind of thing. So for a brief minute, I was a hero. But it was funny. The next week, we're there, and the guy's in the race. He's got his arms in a sling, but he's still he's still driving. But the wife comes over to me. She was in the infield that day, and she says, "I got something for you." I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "I made you something for helping my husband." And I said, "Well, that's nice, but," I said, "you didn't have to go to any trouble." I said, "I was happy to help him." She says, "Well, just the same, I want you to have this." And she lifts up to me this, because she was almost misty about it. She says, "Here, this is for you, y'all." And I said, "Okay." "It's a wallet." She says, "Yep." And she says, "You see what it's made out of?" I said, "Yeah." "Oh, you made this?" She says, "Yep." You know what it was? It was a wallet made out of duct tape. Yep. Sandy, if Sandy and I were married back then, I mean, I don't think I even knew who Sandy was back then, but if she would have wanted one so bad, because it was really pretty cool. Somehow this lady took a roll of duct tape and weaved it somehow and worked it over and had it. It was a perfect wallet, but it was solid duct tape. There was nowhere in it where your money would stick. No, it was just like it was leather, a leather wallet, but it was duct tape. And I think she did something where my name was on it. It might have been my, Mike, because that's actually my name, Mike or Richard. And it was one or the other. Or it may have just said thank you. I forget. I don't have it anymore. Eventually it just deteriorated after all these years. And we're talking 30 some years ago, if not further, more than that. And because that was more like in the mid 70s, if I recall right. But the lady was so tickled. And I got to admit, that wallet served me well. That was I used to take it when I go to the casino for good luck. Anywhere I went, that wallet was in my pocket. And I absolutely cherished that thing. Oh, I wish I had a picture of it, but I don't. Oh, honestly, that lady could have made a fortune making wallets, but she did. She would make things out of duct tape. That was where Michelangelo had oil and marble statues and stuff that he worked on. This lady was a Michelangelo of duct tape. You name it, she could make it out of duct tape. Maybe not a frying pan or a turkey fryer or nothing, but duct tape was her medium. She was good at it. Eventually, the fellow, like I said, he was back racing the next week. Like I said, And he had his racing, he had his wife, and I had my duct tape. I had a couple new friends, and which were easy to come by down in North Carolina, and you had plenty. And I had my wallet. Anyway, I thought you'd like that. I'll catch you later. God bless, friends, and see ya.